Okay, so I would like to, now we could start. I would like to welcome all attendees, and my name is Greta Stocklassa, and I'm a Czech-Swedish filmmaker, and I will be leading this Q&A with the director of the film Sanctuary, Alvaro Longoria. Welcome.
Thank you very much for having me. It's an honor to be here.
It's very nice to have you here. And I would like to, first of all, go through some technical things because we will be leading this interview in English. So for the audience, please ask your questions in English. And there are two ways of asking the question. You can either click on the button Q&A, where you write the question, and then I will read it to Alvaro and he will answer. Or you can raise your hand, not physically, but through the button here. And then we will give you the opportunity to tell your question yourself. But please have in mind that we are recording this Q&A and it will be on the web page of Ji.hlava throughout the festival. So by asking a question yourself, you're giving us permission for using this recording. So before we start with the questions from the audience, there is, I would like to start to ask. There is, in Sanctuary, we follow the brothers Javier and Carlos Bardem, who are both famous actors. But in your film, they're ambassadors of Greenpeace campaign to preserve the Antarctic Sea. And I know we mentioned in the interview before that this is not the first time you've worked with the brothers. And I would like to ask you where this cooperation started for this film.
Well, I work with Carlos. I'm also a producer, apart from being a director. And I work with Carlos Bardem, the older brother of Javier, in a movie many years ago where we became close friends. And the first time we decided to collaborate, the three of us, was in my first documentary as director, where it was originated because the three of us were invited to a refugee camp in the Sahara. And together we spent some days in the refugee camp, and we decided we wanted to make a documentary about that. And Javier, who took the role of the producer, which is believe it or not, he's produced a few other movies as well. He said, "You must direct it." So I said, "Okay, I'll do it." And we were lucky because the film went to Berlinale. It was opened in Berlinale, and it won the Spanish Academy Award. So that originated a collaboration, and we worked together, me as producer, Javier as actor, a few times. Last one was Everybody Knows, the Asghar Farhadi movie, where I was the producer and he was the actor. And right after that, we went and switched roles, where he became the producer and the actor, and I became the director. So yeah, we know each other for many years, and we've collaborated many times.
How did it start with this project, though? Could you tell me the genesis of this project? Where did it start from? The idea to.
Well, first time we collaborated with Greenpeace was Javier was not involved. It was Carlos Bardem and myself. We did a short documentary for the Save the Arctic campaign. When we did that, which was also a documentary about the campaign, and it was quite different because we shot the life of the activists. But at that point, I realized that there was a big topic to be discussed on the Antarctic. So I started investigating a bit, because consider the Antarctic Ocean was protected in '92. But so that was really a good thing. You know, it was an example of how things should be done, especially when you're looking at the Arctic, that is completely unprotected. But as I started investigating, I realized, and Greenpeace told me, yes, well, we saved the land, but we forgot the ocean. So the ocean, the Antarctic Ocean, which is the high seas, so there's no control, is really unprotected. That for me was amazing, and I started to investigate a bit further, but it kind of toned down until Greenpeace said, okay, we're going to do an action to try to bring back attention, because that's pretty much how Greenpeace works. They say, okay, I'm going to focus on this topic, and I'm going to raise the profile, make it seen, so people can focus on it and try to make a change. So a few years ago, Greenpeace decided to launch a campaign to to create the largest marine sanctuary in the South Pole, as you have seen in the documentary. And they say, okay, who is better ambassador than Javier Bardem and Carlos? So they called them, and immediately they called me, and I immediately said, okay, this is a great opportunity, because for me it's fascinating to see how things happen, no? And and it was a great opportunity to go from day one until the end of the life of the campaign or of the mission, and tell the inside story. And that's how the project became. I also wanted to analyze a bit why celebrities are needed. You know, why is it that people like Greenpeace, who have millions of volunteers who devote their lives to help others, need to bring someone famous in order to get their message out there, no? Which is, you know, it is what it is. I mean, the world that we live in is a world where celebrities have a voice, maybe not scientists or you know, activists. They don't have that voice, with obviously some exceptions. But I thought it was interesting to follow the whole process, and I joined the mission, and you've seen the result. It's not over. I can tell you a bit what's going on now, but a bit later on your next question if you want.
I think that we have some attendees, and I can encourage them again to ask questions, because this is a unique opportunity since we have the director Alvaro with us. And once again, you can ask, for those who came late, you can ask questions two ways, either by raising your hand on the button here, and you can ask your question yourself, or you can write it in the Q&A button and I will read it. But that, okay, so if I understand it right, Greenpeace contacted you.
Yes, well, actually it was Javier who said, let's bring Alvaro, and the people at Greenpeace are fantastic, because I was a close collaborator for a long time. The problem was that within the boat, the Greenpeace boat, were limited seats. So I had to go alone. I mean, essentially, I had to do. This was a first for me. Okay, I had to do the camera, the sound, and the production. At the beginning, I thought the Bardem brothers are going to help me with sound and all that. Very quickly, I realized it's not going to happen. I have to do it all myself. So it was a very, let's say, busy 12 days where I had to do it a bit of everything. Thank God, people at Greenpeace are very used to media and very used to having photographers and cinema makers. In fact, the boats, the ships, are kind of organized to help the media impact. No? That's how Greenpeace gets attention. So it was really, I was helped by them a lot. And if you've seen the movie, all the beauty shots, everything that is fantastic and beautiful was shot by someone else. And all those that have like a strange camera work, those were mine, you know. No, I had one collaborator from Greenpeace that helped me a lot with drone and all that, because it was tough. And but yeah, we were there since the beginning. We started recording everything since day one when they called us, and we ended up recording even the last meetings at the United Nations, even though we never used that in the movie. But in fact, we showed the documentary at the UN, and also at the climate conference in Madrid last year, 1 year ago exactly, where there was discussion. I think you probably remember there was discussion about big measures to be implemented, but nothing was really implemented.
Right.
So kind of the same story that the movie tells.
So you mentioned, so what has been going on since the
movie?
Well,
I think in the movie it's kind of clear that all decisions regarding the Antarctic Ocean have to be agreed by unanimity. So the CAMELAR, these 26 nations that sit together, they rejected the first time, that as you saw in the movie, and we were very optimistic that it would be accepted in the coming years. But yesterday, I got a call from Greenpeace again, saying that even though everything seemed to be ready to approve the sanctuary, I think in fact in the last minute negotiations, Norway managed to reduce the sanctuary size to half of what was proposed in the documentary, but in the last minute, Russia vetoed it, and essentially nothing has been approved. So we're back to square one, and the ocean, the Antarctic Ocean, is still unprotected, which is very unfortunate because the reason why they are opposing the protection of these waters is because they are exploiting them.
Right.
You know, so they have in fact sent in a fishing vessel from Russia recently that was stopped by the New Zealand Navy, but that ship is going back. So, I mean, I'm an optimist, so I try to give a positive, optimistic view, but the truth is, it's not happening. I mean, nothing has really changed since the end of the movie, and that is very sad because I think that applies to all the environmental missions and initiatives. You know, it's supported by lots of people. It seems obvious, but at the end, very few are implemented.
Right. So that's very interesting because you said that well, today in this world we need the celebrities to help to put light on certain topics, and I agree with you that it definitely can be a way. So the more I felt frustrated in the end of the movie when they managed to get all they had had the impact on social media, they have had the signatures, and it still didn't go through. And now, as you say, it still hasn't. You have made a film about it, which I guess it must have put even more light on it, because you making a film, it's also another aspect. So do you still believe this is the right way of, how are we supposed to change the world? Is this still the right way?
I think the only way that we can change the world is if every one of us, realizes that unless we take action, things will not change. The energy of the inertia is so powerful, and the money is such a strong force that people will continue to make money even though it causes the planet to get destroyed. No, and unless the majority of the people decide this has to stop, it will not stop, because there's um, a few countries or a few groups that are really only designed in order to make money, and they're short-term thinkers. And unless we take action as individuals, each one of us doing what we can, or for example, voting in an election and choosing somebody that is having a very clear position on the environment, because I mean, I remember even in the European elections, there's no talk about the environment. You know, when you vote, you're always voting about, you know, the economy here or taxes, whatever, but nobody's really focusing on environment, which at the end of the day is our biggest concern. I mean, we are in danger of extinction, and that's unless we realize that immediately, we are exacerbating that risk. We have to take action.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. We have one question here from Martina. Did the film reach the majority viewer?
Oof, that's a good question. I mean, we have suffered in this movie kind of strange influences. Let's put it that way, because we, at the beginning, we managed to get a very big platform to be interested in the film, and suddenly this was cancelled. So I'm not proposing that the film was kind of toned down because of the interest or economic interest of some power groups. But the fact is that it was tougher than in all my other movies, and tougher than any other similar documentaries, because at the end of the day, what we are denouncing in this movie is a very serious thing. I mean, there are countries that are preventing actively the environmental measures that will make them slightly poorer or not allow them to grow indefinitely. No? And that is, at the end of the day, the fact that Norway, which is a country that everybody thinks, the Norwegians, they're fantastic, green, and all that. The truth is, the Norwegians are a country that is preventing this from changing. You know why? Because they have huge fishing industry and maybe other interests. I don't know what exactly it is, but it's kind of surprising. And obviously the other countries that were opposing, which were Russia and China, are always hard to their motives are always hard to understand. But the truth is that the film was not as exposed as maybe it should have. And I think part of the reason is because the message is very uncomfortable for some power groups, you know. And that's even though we were trying to make it very friendly, because I mean, if you go deep into what's going on, you could have made a much more hostile documentary. The truth is, you know, krill fishing is unnecessary. The truth is, there's no need to have tourists going to Antarctica. I mean, there's no need. Nobody needs to go to Antarctica, but tourists go there because they have lots of money and it's cool to take a selfie with a penguin. But you know what? That is a sign of things that are not right. So, yes, at the end, we managed to get it out in most of the world. It was put on another platform. And yeah, but I think my feeling is that it was an uncomfortable topic. And sometimes when you have an uncomfortable topic like this, there are hidden pressures to keep it low.
Right. You mentioned the tourism into Antarctica. I was that struck me also. It was very slightly in the film, but that was like that. It felt very significant because it's very you see it's a very difficult topic because you see how beautiful it is, and I caught myself thinking, wow, this is beautiful. I would like to see this with my own eyes. But then you realize, and you see these Americans who go there just to travel. So how much is the tourism actually now? How big of a threat is it in Antarctica?
Well, I mean, it's not yet become a huge threat. I mean, consider Antarctica is huge. I mean, Antarctica is the size of South America, for example, just to give you an idea of how big it is, you know. So, and really, there are only a few places where tourists are going, but you can see already the impact of these few tourists arriving there. You know, for example, in the film, you see at the end of the movie there was a plastic bag that was sucked in by the engine. That's because some tourists threw the plastic bag into the water. I mean, there's no other reason because, and the problem is not now. The problem is the tendency. You know? Tendency is people have obviously COVID has stopped everything, you know, which is terrible. But also it allows us to think a bit. No, what are we doing? Because otherwise we're going in a direction that was a bit crazy. Because it's not about just getting there and take a photo. You know, you don't do anything good by doing that. It's not positive. Yes, they say, people who go to Antarctica as a tourist, they immediately become defendants. No, they become activists to save it. Right. So, but the truth is, I think it's unnecessary, and I think it should be a greater protection because it's a question of one accident. Imagine there's one boat that crashes there, and there are serious icebergs there. If one boat has an accident, the damage of an oil spill would be devastating. So, is the risk worth it? I don't think so.
So don't go there. Don't go to Antarctica.
Don't go there, or only go there if there is a real reason for you to go there. I mean, I don't want to be, I've been there, but you cannot go. No.
Yeah, I would like to ask you more about the filming itself. When you were there, for how long were you in Antarctica, and how was it practically? How did it go? You mentioned you were shooting yourself, but must have been very cold. What was the most difficult?
Well, the most difficult thing was that the boat is always moving, so that is tough to shoot. The noise, perpetual noise of the engine. That I think I tried to incorporate it into a movie, so you become used to it. But when you're there all the time, there's a noise. But the weather was not such a big problem because, except for when there was a big storm, no. But most of the days it was not that cold as it should have been. So global warming actually made shooting easier because the weather was much better than they were expecting. but in general, it's a very hostile environment. They tell you if you fall in the water, you have 2 minutes to get out, or you're dead essentially. So everything there is very extreme. Uh, but in general, I think we were all very motivated, very happy. It's very good to be in a Greenpeace boat because everybody is focused on the same mission. So it's not like there's like a big team of in this case 36 crew members whose only goal is that you get what you need. So if you need the boat to stop to take a shot, they stop the boat. So
Right.
it's very nice. Yeah, but I mean the place is beautiful, but also kind of dangerous. You realize very quickly how extreme the weather is, because one day you're in a great weather and suddenly you have these 20-meter waves that are brutal. No?
Right.
So yeah,
And so for how long were you there?
we were supposed to go for 10 days. But when we were going to go back, there was a big sea storm, so we had to stay for a few more days because there are two ways to get to Antarctica. You can cross the channel, the Beagle Channel, the Drake Passage, which is one of the most stormy places on Earth, or you can fly. There is an airplane that flies, but only when the weather is good. So we had to stay for 3 extra days there. But 13 days, but it looked like 2 months because it never goes dark. So you're working all the time. Because
Right.
you don't realize, it's always sunny. So, or at least light. So there's no night. But it was an experience. I mean, it really was one of the most amazing places I've seen. And I've been to many places in my films, no? But Antarctica for me is the most extreme, where you see nature in the perfect equilibrium. You see how things work and you see how fragile they are. Penguin colonies, for example, you see them and it's amazing. There are thousands of penguins, but they're so fragile. Any change can essentially wipe them out. And the fishing of krill does that. They come with this huge vessel and they take all the krill from an area, and penguins can only swim certain amount because consider they have to go back every day to feed their chicks. So once an area is fished, all the penguins in the area will die. That's terrible, no?
No, that's also an aspect. I didn't know the depth of how big of an issue it is today with the krill. But we're running out of time. But I still want to ask you, Alvaro, are you going to continue collaborating with Greenpeace, you think?
I would love to, yes. I think I've continued helping them try by getting them people like speakers or celebrities to come on board and help them as a voice. I try to advise them in doing audiovisual content, which I think is very powerful, as you can see. And I think that for Greenpeace, this has been a shock. I mean, Greenpeace were activists of hanging from a platform. That's the kind of thing they did. But now they are more focused on ambassadors, and that will continue, and we will continue. I don't know exactly if we'll do another documentary or short documentaries or something like that, but I think it works.
Okay. So there's a last chance to ask Alvaro something if you want, either in the Q&A or raise your hand. And meanwhile, I would like to ask you if are you working currently on any documentary film, or do you have any topic in mind you would like to start filming when it's possible?
I'm working on a documentary series about anonymous heroes. I think that people that devote their life to helping others or to make the world a better place do not get enough screen time. They not get enough exposure. So I think there is an opportunity and a need for people to get exposed to these ideas. People like Greenpeace or Red Cross or Doctors Without Borders or Open Arms, people who are essentially devoting their lives to helping others. Because at the end of the day, I think we need role models. I think it's important to give the screen to people you really admire. I mean, I don't admire Pablo Escobar, he was not a nice guy, We should not be admiring him. We should be admiring people from Greenpeace who risk their lives to help your life, you know, and my life. And that kind of people they need to be exposed. So that's what I'm working on at the moment.
Okay, good. That's interesting. We're gonna look forward to it. So if there are no any more questions, I would really like to thank you, Alvaro, for giving us your time, because I understand it's a very hectic time for you now since you're filming. So thank you, and good luck with your film, and take care and be careful.
Thank you so much, Greta. It was nice talking to you. It was an honor to be in the festival. Thank you all the audience for watching my documentary. I hope you become part of the action now. So it's now up to you. Thank you.
Thank you. Take care. Bye.
Bye.